Welcome to Movies That Matter, the podcast about recent films going above and beyond the call of box office returns to boldly explore a social issue affecting people's lives. I'm Nicole Finari.
I'm Stacy Moore.
And with us today is...
Adam Perry.
Stacy, what movie are we going to overanalyze this week?
This week we're overanalyzing Blade Runner 2049, the much anticipated sequel to Ridley Scott's 1982 cult classic based on Philip K. Dick's cyberpunk novel. Androids, known as replicants, still provide slave labor. And Blade Runners, like Officer K, played by Ryan Gosling, still, quote-unquote, retire them when they get out of line. Full disclosure, I didn't actually care for the original.
Okay.
Were you guys fans going into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I fell asleep both times I tried to watch it.
The first one?
Yes.
Okay. Both times? Really?
Both times. Well,
I mean,
okay.
it's so slow. It's so boring.
It's painful.
It's like creepy and misogynist and boring.
Yeah. So
take that.
Yeah.
Fans.
I'm a little jet lagged and I was coming off of major international flights, but it was just boring and I fell asleep. So what did we think of this reboot?
I think the guest should go first.
Yep. Go up, Adam.
I liked it a lot. It had slightly more plot than the original movie, but again, they don't it's kind of like a long mood piece detective story. I didn't read any reviews or read anything about it, so I didn't know that the Ryan Gosling character was a robot. I thought that was kind of cool to tell you that from the outset instead of having it be a dumb twist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I love the movie. It was great.
Okay.
I thought it definitely had more plot and that it had some. And the first one just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely found it more entertaining than the first one. It was a generically entertaining sort of sci-fi noir movie, I guess. So I cared what happened to the characters. I loved watching Denis Villeneuve's just the visual. I could have watched just no dialogue, just watch those visuals and listen to that crazy music for just the whole time and been fine. But otherwise, it was sort of a generic plot, I thought. There were definitely, things happened on the beats that you knew they would. So, in the beginning, when we're introduced to Joy, the girlfriend, I was like, oh, she's going to die 90 minutes in.
She was the girlfriend in War Dogs.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Did you notice that?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. She's on fire.
Well, I'm glad you guys had a chance to talk, because I'm going to now spend the next 45 minutes telling you how much I hated this movie.
I'm stunned.
Oh my god, I hated it so much.
Not at all.
Not stunned.
No.
Not stunned.
This is since people can't see me.
Boring and terrible, and I hated this movie. Everything about it was the worst. I would have left.
Start at the top, Nicole.
Okay, so where to begin with what stunk so bad about this movie?
Wait, you didn't even like the colossal ballerina? I freaking love that girl.
Okay. So, first of all, and this was true of the first one as well.
Yep.
The dialogue was the most tortured thing ever. You're right. No one should have ever talked, because when they talked like they were in a movie explaining heavy-handedly either what exactly was going on in the plot line or some really blatant review of the theme of the movie.
Aren't we all looking for something real?
I don't know, Stacy. Do you think that replicants have a soul?
Apparently, if you give up your life for something that makes you human.
I think the point kind of was more that I don't think any of us have souls, and there's no difference between us and them, really.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And
We'll get into that later.
I don't know.
Let me tear apart why this was a terrible movie before we go into
Somebody disagrees.
Yeah, that's right.
We definitely want to deal with the soul and the themes.
Actually, on that note, I think my main beef with the movie is that I have no idea what replicants are.
Yeah.
Are they robots?
Well, yeah.
Are
they're
they clones?
No.
What are they?
They're synthetic people, basically.
They're synthetic. So they're made of bone and blood,
right?
And
but they're not
muscle.
cloned from anything. I guess they just produce them. They don't really explain.
They're like a manufactured. Yeah. No,
They're manufactured people.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Okay. So they're not AI.
No, which is
No,
what
they're
I
not
thought.
computers or
I
anything.
thought they were robots originally.
Me too. In the first one, I thought they were robots.
I thought they were like AI.
But again, I fell asleep.
Yeah, how would you know?
So...
How would you know? Anyway, that was my main problem with it. Is I'm like, wait, so are they robots? Then how do they have babies? Like, if they can't have babies, then why do they have sexual urges? I just didn't understand the system.
Well, it's one of those things like in
yes.
Jurassic Park where it's like the nature of it you can't really control.
Okay.
I think is
but
kind of the
also
point there.
because this movie makes no sense. Like, nothing makes any sense, which is problem maybe number 2. So every change of scene starts with a long nonsense establishing shots of things that have nothing to do. Yeah, but they have no meaning. They have no purpose. They do not advance the story.
They're cool.
Why are there freaking bees when there's no plant life? Like, that's not possible. Why is there a dam? Why? Why is there? Why am I looking at a shot of a dam?
Wait. It's a seawall. It's a seawall. What's a seawall?
It's because the sea levels have risen.
Oh,
And they're
okay.
keeping
Maybe
the
that one had a
sea,
purpose.
Because they're in LA.
Yeah.
And the whole state is just LA. It's not like California anymore. Because, I mean, in the book, they go into how like the whole country is trash, basically. And everyone.
So you've read the book?
Yeah.
Are there 2 books then?
There's one, it's a novella. It's not even a book.
It's not even a book.
It's like 100 pages and some change. It's
but
really short.
But it explains all that. So like, what happened in Las Vegas that it was all like...
In LA?
No, in Vegas.
Las Vegas was
Vegas.
Oh, where they are? It's just like trash like the rest of planet Earth. Basically, everyone who's rich has moved elsewhere. They don't live on planet Earth.
Off-world.
That's why everything, in the first movie and this one sucks. Because it's poor people, even, like the wealthier people are like, I guess Jared Leto making robot or human. I feel like I use the word robot, android, and synthetic too interchangeably. They all mean the same thing in this context.
Well, they're replicants.
But like, he makes money doing that, and like basically, if you're rich, you're doing like some kind of like high level service industry, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he makes money running a technology company, and yet somehow Ryan Gosling, who's suspended from the LAPD, is easily able to track where they are offloading a prisoner off to another planet, right? So like, it cuts to the next scene where they're chasing their car where they're getting rid of Deckard, and I was like, oh, nice little gloss over the fact that how the hell would he be able to find that car? Like, that actually makes no sense. Like, there's just like these giant plot holes that...
I don't remember how he was able to find that. I feel
No,
like
they don't tell you. They just cut to like, he's able to find it. There's like, it's super... Oh, God, I just... Everything is so stupid in this movie, and I hated it so much. And, so, okay, really beautiful cinematography.
That's
editing...
Roger Deakins on the...
But the editing, totally uninspired. There. Like, it just was it was just blunt cut to blunt cut. Like, I was sort of like, wow. And then there was a lot of really fancy lighting that, again, was super meaningless. Like, why the hell would you have an office that was either dark, okay, fine, you're blind, but then, like, the lighting would shift randomly for no thematic reason, and it was
just
all
looked cool.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. But you're trying, like, a movie as a narrative form. You are trying to tell a story, and it was just a whole bunch of stuff to look cool that had no meaning or purpose, and
it's
that
a very
just makes
stiff definition of what a movie is.
Okay,
Adam, I think you should blow off some steam.
Yeah.
Well, I liked it. I just, I thought that it looked really cool, and I liked that it was like super long, and I like long movies.
Everybody kept getting up to pee. Everyone was so bored.
I had to go
One
to the
guy
bathroom.
fell asleep and was snoring through the whole Vegas scene.
No accounting for taste there. I mean,
I was mesmerized.
That's a great word to describe it.
Like anything could. I almost felt like the story had to be simple.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter.
I was too distracted by
it's just
what I was looking at.
like old school detective bumbling his way through something that is like so much bigger than he is, and is so vaguely described that it's like kind of like the forces in our own lives that feel like that are outside of our control. Is kind of what I was thinking about when I watched that. It's like you couldn't do really anything about a lot of things that I guess you have problems with in the real world, like as an individual. And that's kind of like what the detective story to me was always like about. That is like the theme of these two movies. The first one, I like the first one. It is not as great as everyone thinks it is.
It's so overrated, and this is just as overrated.
It's good. It is a good movie, and when you're younger,
score was better in the first
watching like these movies, and you think they're like really cool. They're like good touchstones. Like start off with watching movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this one I think was like actually really amazing.
The aesthetic of the first one was definitely like influential, right? Like
for the time.
People refer to. I actually only watched it because when I was traveling, I kept reading in guidebooks. They would refer to a neighborhood as being like Blade Runner-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the world building in the first one was good, and I think the world building in this one was just this. Again, it wasn't particularly imaginative. It like most people have done. I mean, her Minority Report, like all of like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, The Fifth Element really borrowed a lot from the original Blade Runner. Like, this movie didn't have anything to add to that, except a whole lot of naked women, which was my other huge complaint about this movie was the over-sexualization of women. Like, there was just too much naked women.
It was way better than the first one.
I was like, why does there have to be statues of naked women in Vegas? Like, why are there naked women freaking everywhere? And then
There were definitely more women with agency. Go ahead.
That's okay. It's just, I feel like I agree with what you're saying, but I think that, and again, this might be getting off topic, the downward spiral that our own world is entering, I feel like that's not, a surprising thing to see in a bleak future.
Like, I could see that happening.
Everywhere.
I could see big, giant, naked Sphinx ladies.
Yeah, because we're not heading up. And this movie, to me, that was another scary thing about it, is that totally could be planet Earth real soon.
Yeah, no vegetation.
I'm not surprised by that.
We live in an LA where there aren't any minorities. This movie was remarkably undiverse.
Yeah, where were all the Asians?
There's only really one character in the movie, and then you had the dude from Captain Phillips showed up for like one scene.
Yeah,
Is that what he was from? I thought he looked familiar.
Yeah,
and the guy from Walking Dead.
Yeah, and that like really low minority count.
That is.
And I really
that guy.
I really wanted
some Asians and some Latinos.
Yeah, seriously, you're in freaking Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I wanted it explained why they have this new replicants that are made to obey, and then none of them do.
I thought about that. Yeah.
Why?
It just doesn't work.
You're way off baseline.
Yeah, and the assistant to Wallace, like the female, who I really wanted to be the daughter, by the way. The murderous psychopathic.
Really?
I really wanted her to be the daughter
They even
badly.
had her look like the original woman.
Yes, I was like, I know it's going to be the other lady who's like super sweet and sympathetic, and I really wanted to be the murderous psychopath.
Oh, you knew it was her.
Yeah.
I loved, Love. I guess her name is Love, right? I thought she was amazing in every single scene.
Yeah, I really wanted her to be the daughter. So
I'm just glad it wasn't Gosling. I would have left the theater if that was
actually turned out.
If he was the son.
I thought that was a good twist. I agree with you. I was like a little bit happier with the film when it was not him.
Yeah. That would have been
but then again, why did she plant her own memories into his head? The whole plot hinges on that one thing, and it makes no sense. She even points out it's illegal.
Wait, she says illegal?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
And it's like, again, this is like a huge pet peeve. Thank you, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. You cannot have an entire movie hinge on one thing that is like a logical fallacy. That makes me...
Well, she said that. I don't think she felt and believed that. That's why she did it.
But it didn't make any sense. There's no reason why her memories would be in his head.
Well, I thought about it, and it occurred to me, I was like, because when we first saw his memory, so he has this, all right, so, not Ryan Gosling, Officer K. He has this memory, it's very traumatic, of himself, like, being, I don't know, chased and beat up by some kids in an orphanage, right? And I remember thinking, like, why would anyone put such a negative, awful, traumatic, synthetic memory into somebody? And then we meet her, right? We meet the memory maker who says that, all the best art has a little bit of the artist in it. And I thought maybe she put it in there just as a cathartic reasons. Like she just had to get it out. And so she put, just as we do whenever we're like, you know, just the same reason teenagers write sad songs, she put this terrible memory into someone else and felt bad about it, but did it just the same. That's the only thing I can figure.
Well, it's
I don't
like
actually
in
understand. What?
Inside Out, how like they tell you sadness isn't bad. Like that's kind of like another reason why they.
I mean, you
they
can
do that.
fan wink
Like,
this
don't
all
have
you
to.
want. It just doesn't make sense, and it was poorly.
I can
written.
what?
Wait, what?
Fan wink this all
What's
you.
fan winking?
You've never heard of that term, fan wink?
No, is that?
Oh, it's literally what you're doing when you like try to come up with a justification for a rationalization for something that's clearly problematic in a thing that you love. The act of like trying to rationalize.
Well, this is just something that occurred
No,
to me
it's
over the
just
course of the week.
it's just not agreeing. I don't know about that.
I don't understand why they needed memories. Why do the androids need memories?
Because they're humans. They want them to think they're human beings. Oh, that's what.
But he was self-aware that they were fake, right? Like that was what I think caught me off guard. Was that he was like, "Oh, but my memories are fake." Is that explained in the book at all?
It's explained in
Not
the
really,
first
yeah.
one.
It
That
is.
like again for her it's to fool her into thinking that she's actually human. But you're right. Once they're self-aware, there's literally no need to do that. And again, this movie makes no sense.
Well, to keep them in control. Then
Why do you need fake
that
memories?
they think they're better, like
Yeah,
that the human beings that are real are better, and that's why they have to listen to us. So to keep that power structure there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so many like giant plot holes or things that make no sense in this movie, and it gets really problematic. Because if you're not mesmerized by all the cinematography, then you're just thinking about all the things that don't make any sense. Also, it was noisy. That's a weird complaint, but I was just
That is a
I
weird
need you to be
complaint.
quieter. Like, why does everything
a
buzz
weird
or
complaint.
hum or squeak or I was like, okay. I'm trying to think. Have I gotten out all of my complaints?
Yeah,
about
go
this
ahead. Let
movie?
it out, Nicole.
I mean, literally, I was like, I was just 45 minutes of me screaming about how much I hated this movie. Like,
Sure.
but I was excited because I was like, I know people are going to disagree, and we haven't had any good controversy on movies that matter
there
in a
you go.
while. Okay, other things that you loved.
Basically, the ending scene was great in the water. I really liked that,
That
a
was
lot.
very
It's so intense.
Yeah, my heart was in my throat for that.
I was also a big fan of Gosling in this movie. I don't really like him that much normally. I guess he's just perfect to play. Like, kind of like a blank. It's like the character he plays in every movie, like
Yeah.
Drive,
Sure.
same thing.
Yeah.
All that. He's been doing a lot of stuff like that lately.
I liked him before he was Ryan Gosling.
I liked
What,
him
like
when he
The
was
Believer?
Lars.
Yeah, I liked him in
Lars
Larson.
and the
I liked
Real
him in
Girl.
Half Nelson, and now he's like Ryan Gosling, and I'm like, I just don't
You
see
see
it.
The Nice Guys? He's kind of
Yes.
like that in that too. He's like a failure.
I love
Drunk.
that movie.
The movie's good.
It's misogynist too, but it is fun. It is fun, and he and Russell Crowe are great in it. Anyway, I didn't have far to go. I'm a Rosling fangirl, I guess.
Yes.
I love him. I love that guy.
No.
He's not horrible.
He's not horrible.
No, he's fine.
That is a rave, as far as I'm concerned.
But I liked him a lot in this movie. I was kind of not excited when that casting news came out.
Oh, sure. What did we think of Carmen de Armas, the Joy girlfriend?
Anna,
Is it Ana de Armas?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ana
Yeah.
de Armas.
she's great.
I thought she was pretty good.
Yeah.
I actually started to buy like her as a character, as like actually. I know it's the whole cliche sci-fi thing of like, oh, I'm a robot discovering feelings.
I thematically would be mine again after the naked women badgering me over the head. Like she was an extremely problematic character.
Oh, she was a puppy.
And-
she was a puppy.
And
for
I
sure.
found, I have a friend who like we've talked about how disturbing he finds these types of issues where you have sex with robots or whatnot, and I'm like, it's like
tell us about the issue
That's a
involved
funny-
in having
that's a
sex
funny
with
it's
robots.
like
phrase. I'm
super
sorry.
creepy, and it's
Yeah.
it's problematic, and like I found it icky, for lack of a better word, to the nth degree. Like,
He's like a real human being that he's like, I don't know.
but she's not, and she's programmed, and I just
I
like,
don't think it's.
I don't think
it's
she's-
problematic to explore it. I think it's problematic to that it is, but not that like they introduced it in the story.
No, I just think, like, I had huge issues with consent, basically. Like, I don't think that she can consent. I don't think that she can consent to a romantic relationship because she's not a real person.
She's not real.
And the fact that he wants to, like, have sex with her and have a romantic relationship with her, like, is distasteful to me. And really makes me dislike him as a character for, like, falling in love with a computer program.
Well, I thought, first of all, that's her also, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
it's different for some reason.
Gives you a twist on that.
I know. I haven't seen it. I read the ending though.
Okay.
It is problematic that, like,
it's gross.
It's creepy, right?
It's creepy and gross.
But I felt for her, like, as a being. I felt for her.
Because he sees the ad for that phone or whatever it is later in the movie, and it's like not the same thing.
Right.
Which I thought was kind of cool.
And he's disturbed,
he's just like, that's not the same. Kind of like these computers like become aware of themselves, kind of as individuals.
He seemed to be developing a morality towards the end of it.
On the flip side of that, the cinematography I adored was the sync scene with her and the prostitute overlaid was masterful.
That's crazy.
Really creepy again.
And pointless.
And pointless, but like very interesting.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy that. I thought that was really innovative and neat. How
I loved the birthday memory development where she's the memory maker.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I didn't actually hear anything she said because I was just so into like what was happening with those kids around the birthday cake. It was incredible to me.
Yeah.
They did a really good job of putting the like imagery, sound, and appearance before the script.
So getting into some of the thematic elements of consent and soul and what makes a person a person, I found that the movie, like, again, I don't think it had anything really interesting or innovative to say about that. Were you like lost in the theme of this movie? Like, did it give you a lot to think about?
Yeah, especially I loved Leto's, like, first of all, I thought I was going to hate him, but I thought it was good, mostly because he's not in it that much. But when he's talking to Harrison Ford at the end, I really liked that sequence a lot, where he's like, you like pain because it reminds you of what feeling good is. I don't know, I like that little speech. And basically, it, like, the whole theme of the movie is kind of like the fact that they don't really comment on Ryan Gosling being a robot, other than the people that live with him don't like him. It's like kind of not of consequence, really. I don't know. I just think it's like we're all like that in real life. There is no difference.
There's no point.
Yeah, I mean, other than that life is awesome, but other than that, to me, there literally is no point. Like, we live and we die. But,
Which, I mean, I was glad my lady love film critic pointed this out, too. I didn't read a whole lot of the reviews, but she caught that.
Our Dana Stevens.
Dana Stevens, his Officer K, right? Which, if you've read any Kafka, I think it was directly a shout out to the main character of the trial, who's just referred to as K. She pointed it out, too, like, in, Kafka, and is exactly what you said. I mean, that's what the trial is about. You were just a cog in the system, and the system controls everything, and there's no meaning, and there's no sense of individuality, which is why K in the trial isn't even given a full
reason,
name. A full name,
either, right?
Just initial. So, but this was no Kafka. And like, because so they give you a couple of different versions of humanity. There's the question of, again, her Joy, who's basically like, what do you want to call her? An AI, an operating system?
Yeah, it's just like I thought it was like a weird phone.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because didn't people call them on it?
The sexiest iPhone ever.
Like, I didn't get, that was why I didn't understand what the sort of joint sex scene was for, was because when they were making out at the beginning, she seemed to be a physical manifestation of herself. And then he gets a voicemail.
Yeah.
It freezes, like, mid-moment.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Again, I just didn't understand what the beings were and how they operated.
Right. And so you have her, like, is she truly self-aware? Is he truly self-aware as a replicant who wants to believe that he's actually a real person? The only line that, as heavy-handed as it was, that I enjoyed was when let's call her the leader of the resistance, looks at him and she was like, "Oh, did you think you were that child?"
Yeah, of course you did.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah,
we all want to believe that. And
that was
like,
very
okay,
compassionate.
She pulled that off.
I liked you don't like real girls coming from an android. I thought I was like, wow, that's a whole nother like level of bitterness.
Okay, another freaking nitpick because I'm an economist. So Jared Leto's big scene about why he needs self-replicating replicants was like, but you own a business that sells a product. You don't want your product to be able to reproduce itself because how would you make any money? That literally makes no sense.
Wait, so is that
like,
why he wanted the baby?
That was like so stupid.
I couldn't figure out why he wanted the child so badly. Is that why?
So he gives you this grandiose explanation that all great civilizations are based on slavery, which I actually really appreciated that comment. Absolutely. It was a great line. But then he's like, so we need more and more and more and more, and I can't produce enough to like advance civilization. And I'm like, but you're not going to make any money if they can reproduce.
He's thinking about the bigger picture because the whole of Earth basically needs to rebuild itself. It goes beyond what any one company can do.
But I've never met a CEO of a company that really believes that.
Now you
Even
have.
Elon Musk. Like, no.
Well, side note, apparently David Bowie was originally cast in that role.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, he would have kicked ass.
Yeah, he would have. Apparently Villeneuve like grieved for months before he recast it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, so what are we to make of Anna or Joy, the girlfriend? Like, what are we supposed to think about her? Is she actually a person? She has feelings like all the other replicants? Is anytime you give something a personality, make it self-aware?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like, like you have a stuffed animal when you're a kid, or in my case, as an adult, and you think it's real. It's just taking that to like the next logical conclusion.
Okay.
I mean, I presume it's going to come up.
Yeah.
As the technology gets more sophisticated.
We already have names for those stupid things. The Amazon one has a name, and the iPhone.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why is that less strange? I feel like it's just like the rotary phone version of what that
Joy.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going to be developed because porn is always like the first frontier that actually becomes lucrative.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's interesting, and if I can dig up this article, I'll put it in the show notes, where they were talking about the increased use of robots as healthcare assistants. So
the seal, right?
Like, yeah, Paro, the seal, and then, but just like, and for elderly people as companions, like Robot and Frank, which is a great movie, and I really enjoyed
Robot and
Frank.
Oh, Robot.
Did you see that movie?
I thought you said a Robot and Frank. It's like, that is a robot that was built to suffer for no reason. Why would that need to be a robot?
We should discuss that movie.
Yeah.
For sure.
The phone thought she had it bad. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Poor taste.
So, but they were like, this like ethicist was talking about the fact that like, if you give something a personality, at least any human being will respond to it and sort of like treat it like a person. Like, even we treat our cars as people sometimes, or like, other inanimate objects.
Or Wilson the volleyball. All you have to do is like draw a couple of eyes and a mouth on it. It's your best friend.
That is the best pull.
We want to anthropomorphize things.
Right. And so she was talking about like how actually problematic it is to like introduce robots into people's lives, because people get attached to the robot and ascribe feelings and emotions to a robot.
Does not care about you.
It does not.
One bit. That robot does not care.
It does not.
It doesn't care about caring. It's
like, it's not capable of emotion. So
Sure.
like it's actually a problem to have people get super attached to robots. And I was like, oh, I guess I never really thought about that. But I don't know.
Is it? I mean, is he hurting anybody by having this phone that he's in love with?
No.
If you're in love with your phone, power to you. Power to you, bruh.
I mean, isn't he hurting us all?
Is he? Tell me.
Like,
by not dating me? Yes, maybe.
Took the words out of my mouth, Stacy.
Damn it, sorry. Sorry.
Mine too.
We agreed on something, though, this episode, so that's good.
Yeah, well, I mean, but that, like, I mean, after our whole Ingrid Goes West conversation, like, are we losing human interaction because we're just on our phones? Like,
yes.
Do we not all lose something when we make fake
question.
people?
That is just
the
a reality.
answer. Yeah, it's a reality.
That is it.
Well, I think that is the one thing that I did come away from the movie actually thinking about. And I think it is one of the main themes is that, the question of, like, is experience, is your sensory experience more important than the actual reality? Does it matter? I mean, I think the answer is yes, but, like, does it matter if something is real or not if you're enjoying it? If it makes you happy?
And it's also compounded by the fact that, like, several classes are not on planet Earth anymore as well.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely a class structure, class warfare allegory going on. I did figure, okay, we are supposed to suspend our disbelief and on all these potholes and things because, like, it's just a metaphor for a labor class that is exploited and disenfranchised. And so we're just supposed to think of the replicants that way.
Yeah, it's like kind of all-purpose sort of metaphor. I don't know. In the book, they have animals, like fake animals, are how you can tell people's status.
No,
so
they have that here.
In the first movie, they had like a fake owl.
No, when he meets Deckard and their dog is there, he says to Deckard, "Is that a real dog?"
It's hardcore in the book because it's like people have like sheep and goats, and they have like a whole like price guide that comes out.
Wait, so what's the most expensive animal?
I think it was like a barn owl or something was like really expensive, and then
that's in the first movie. I was awake for that.
Yeah, they had like but they go on about it. So they have like a whole like it's like like those I don't know like an auto shoppers, like those rags they give out for free back in the day for like values like cars and stuff. It's just like about animals. And he's constantly consulting this book because in the book he wants this mission to kill all these replicants so he can afford a new animal because he just has this shitty sheep, and the sheep is it's electric, hence the title of the book, and it's constantly malfunctioning and then it dies. And he's like, it's like, I need a new, like, he's like goes to put an installment down like a horse. It's really ridiculous. It's so bizarre. The whole
story is driven on this guy needs to upgrade his mechanical pet.
Yeah, it is basically and he's like more like a bounty hunter in the book too. He works on commission out of like an office. It's not a police force.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Were we glad to see Harrison Ford?
Yeah.
I thought he was way better in this one than the last one.
He's just the greatest.
Yeah.
I'm a big Harrison Ford fan. I don't know.
I mean, I'm with you.
He's okay. That's how I feel.
He does like one thing, really well.
It's one thing, and he does it well.
I'm struggling to think of a out of the remotely out of the Harrison Ford box. I'm coming up empty.
No.
But yeah, so I do think it does. The movie does seem to imply that like once you give something a personality, like it will jump to self-awareness, right? Like it will become conscious. So it advocates that on behalf of the Joy character and on behalf of the new replicant class. But then you have like two sort of additional definitions of what it means to be quote unquote human, which is to be born and to sacrifice yourself
for a cause.
For a cause.
Right. Which is what makes him human at the end, right?
Right.
I don't plan on sacrificing myself for a cause. Does that mean I'm not a human?
You're born.
Oh, so I just need to be one of the two. Okay, good.
Yeah, okay. And I was like, well, that's a question.
Okay,
like,
no, good, yes.
How do you...
One out of two ain't bad.
That's
it's
right.
50% right there.
Yeah, like, but to skip the sort of metaphysical sense of the soul, like, what did you feel about those sort of definitions of being human? Because I almost wanted to... This is why I wanted love to be the child, because I'm like, I actually feel like some of our negative emotions are what make us most human, like our pettiness, our jealousy,
destruction of
like,
planet Earth.
Like the sense of envy is to me like
when she says, like, I'm the best one. What did she say at the end? She's like, I'm the best one, or the first one. Or, she was really important to her sense of identity.
So things like compassion are way more alien in most humans than all the things you just listed. And even when they are there, they're usually reluctantly brought out. So, I think being born might be the only real requirement.
I hate to say it in front of you,
that
Nicole,
just eliminated Jesus.
I was going to, that's where I was going. I was going to say, like, how do you feel about the miracle birth and this whole, like, it's a Christ allegory. Yeah. For sure.
Is it?
No.
A miracle birth?
No.
Changing, like, creating a movement. You don't think it's like, I mean, even in like an
I'm shaking my head for the listeners out there.
He's shaking his head vigorously. All right, we got it. No. All right.
No,
moving on.
I'm not. I'm thinking about it. You're probably right. I never noticed religious allegories because I'm not a religious person. Yeah. I know. I think I actually agree with Stacy. I think it was, and I think that's why you just assume it's a son, and you like immediately
so
like right. No, and I think that's the twist. Like,
Jesus could be a woman.
Jesus is not real.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't want to get you guys off anybody's listener.
We have all kinds of listeners.
Hey, we've done the Shack.
Yes, please refer.
We've got the evangelical community solidly in our pocket at this point. I've got to think after everything we've discussed on this podcast.
Did you both rave about the Shack, or that seems unlikely? Mostly because it's bad, not because of the Jesus parts.
Sure.
Well, it made me think of like, oh gosh, one of my absolute favorite movies from the 90s that nobody ever saw, and the book is just as good. The movie The Power of One, where they like recruit this guy. It's set in South Africa after apartheid is instituted, and they recruit this sort of white guy because he has this like mythology around him, and he's like, none of that is true. And they're like, and the black South Africans who are being oppressed are like, it doesn't actually matter if it's true. We just need the myth.
We need the legend.
We need the symbol. We need the myth, and we need the hope. And I felt like this movie sort of was like, there just needs to know that there was a child that was born. Like, whether they meet her or do anything with her, like the movement was like, we just need this symbol to organize around, and the reality of it is actually unimportant. She's like, we'll reveal her when the time comes. And you're like, it doesn't really matter. Like, you've amassed a whole group of people who have obviously thrown off the shackles of their
oppressors.
Obedience programming.
That was programmed into them,
Yeah. Link, cell, like, interlink. Those scenes were annoying. But you had said something early on about that, like that you cannot bind anybody to slavery. Did you want to expand on that some more?
What did I?
I was like, it's like totally not explained that he suddenly is way off his baseline, quote unquote. And
how does he become inspired to throw off his what he's designed to do?
It just does. That's why you can't control the way things. It's like that's an old motif in movies. Like the breeding dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, to come back to that. But it's like eventually there's just going to be some little flaw that makes something
life like find a way.
Wait a minute, like why? Yeah, I didn't want to quote that, but
I love that line.
Yeah, that is a great line. It's just, how many times can you say it?
I'm gonna try just a few more times.
We can do a nice drinking game.
Edit it out later.
But it's just like one day, you just be like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. When I think about it critically, that I should be doing this. I don't know.
Okay.
Thank God Elvis and Marilyn Monroe and Frank Sinatra showed up during that fight. That was phenomenal. I loved that. You didn't like that? You didn't
the fight was Elvis? Okay, but the long shots around the Vegas hotel were just so boring.
Do you like long movies?
No.
I
hate all
3 acts, 110 minutes max, beginning, middle, and end.
I got bored in Harry Potter because it was over 2 hours. Like, you got to be good to make it over the 2 hour mark.
Are a shadow of the books, so there's the number one problem right there.
That's another episode.
No, I have the attention span of an ant. Like, I need things to move.
So I feel like it's a problem with you and not the movie.
No, the movie was nonsensical.
I'm saying.
So, I think it's time for Stacy to kick off the social impact score.
All right.
And wrap all this goodness up.
Let's do it. Let's each give a social impact score from 1 to 10, 1 being it changed nothing, 10 being the world we once knew is gone forever. Shall the guest go first?
Yes.
Just to ruffle my esteemed host's feathers, I'm going to go 10 out of 10.
Oh my God.
People need to know what pieces of garbage we are and what we're doing to the world and what our technology reflects on us. And this movie illustrated all that to me. We suck. 10 out of 10. Let's change our ways.
Okay.
Sorry, in case you can't see it, my jaw is agape. So you think, 10 out of 10, you think that everything in our society changed because this movie came out last weekend? All right, fair enough. I give it a 2.
Give it a 2.
No, I'll give it a 3. I'll give it a 3. It tackled issues, but I don't think it changes anything.
I only give it above that because I know it's going to get a ton of Oscar buzz.
Oh, you think? Oh, yeah. I hope it does for cinematography.
Absolutely. For sure, that guy.
Absolutely.
Is overdue on a win. Recommendations?
I've been doing horror movies all month.
Yeah, you have.
I'm on number 43 for
Whoa.
the 10 days of October. I saw Forgotten Gem today. The Good Son with Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood.
Oh my
It is
God.
frightening. It is short and it is perfect.
Cool.
Netflix. It's on Netflix.
Cool.
I used to be afraid of the trailer for that when I was a kid.
It's scary. It scared me because Macaulay Culkin's basically Kevin McAllister if he's a complete sociopath.
Right.
It's great. See it.
Also, blonde people are scary.
They are.
Sorry, blonde people.
No. Not really. But.
Okay.
All right, Stacey.
I'm reading a book called The Wonder Trail by Steve Healy. It's just travel memoir of a guy who used to write for The Office, travels from LA to the tip of Chile. Yeah, and he just has a really funny, insightful way of describing things. So I'm really enjoying it.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Movies That Matter. If you did, please take a second to leave a review on iTunes. Where we need some.
Pretty please.
Pretty please. Check out www.moviesthatmatterpodcast.com for links to things that we've discussed. If you want to talk to us, leave a comment on our Facebook page or on Twitter with our tag at MoviesMatterPod and with Adam's tag.
I don't really check it, but it's at Chubby John Lennon, Lenin.
Cool. And you can check Twitter to find out what movie we're overanalyzing next. And remember, movies matter.
And so do you.
We'll see you next time.